Hello, everyone, and welcome to this conversation and discussing the wonderful news that we have gotten about the new offering from Microsoft. Well, maybe not new is the word to use, but revisit and relaunch, maybe, but of communities in Teams. And I'm joined with Amit. Can you maybe introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do at Microsoft?
Hey Daniel, so thanks for having me. It's so good to be here. So I'm a product manager. I work on the consumer communications products, which really is the offering that we announced here today, with Teams for consumers. And I also support the GroupMe product team. Been here for a little over a year at Microsoft and been really enjoying it, building this stuff with the team. It's been a great 2022, and I can't wait for all of you to see what we built.
Yeah, and I think that that's interesting. You having that perspective of coming into Microsoft, fresh, and how can Microsoft take this application that I, for one, think is the best communication tool in the enterprise for messaging and for meetings and connecting, but how to take that to really the consumer and to enable that collaboration that happens in everyday life when we're not in the office, right? When we're, or maybe not in our home office. So maybe can you tell us a little bit about, your thoughts on the needs for communities,
Hmm.
true communities that we are all a part of, and those needs for connection.
Absolutely. So a couple of things. One, yes, when I joined Microsoft, it was really about the work ahead of me and the team was to really expand the footprint of the offerings. Teams has done wonderfully well in the enterprise space and the business space, and the question in front of us was like, hey, how do we serve more people? How does it go beyond your work into your life, right? That's really the challenge. And when you look at the capabilities that Teams has, and it's a full-fledged product, I would say it's best of breed in terms of like meeting capabilities and chat and bringing those together with the platform. Um, it has been very effective, and especially in the last 3 years, as we've kind of gotten used to this new way of living, the hybrid and the virtual way of living. It's been a very effective tool in bringing uh, professionals together to get something done. That's a community construct. I mean, community is in some ways encompasses so many various aspects, right? Everything from your colleagues at work, that's a community. You probably spend 8 to 10 hours a day, all the way to what you are on the weekends and on the evenings. Whether you're a soccer coach for your kids, or you are participating in your HOA and neighborhood, you volunteer. I mean, there's just so many aspects to our life, and what we saw being effective at work, you know, we thought could be really powerful for people who are coming together to get something done, right? It's not, communities can be of many types. You can have
Mhm.
fan communities, and I'm sure
Mhm.
there's like, Taylor Swift has fans and who are like all about music, and they
Yeah.
use different products. But where I think for us, teams could play a huge role in where you're really collaborating. You are and you and I were chatting about this earlier today, which is, exchanging documents and keeping track of things, and maybe raising funds, and maybe volunteering, doing a blood drive. There's just so many of these where you really need to come together, and you really need to make sure, hey, you have the ability to get things done. I think that's where Teams shines the most. And what we've done with this offering is really, try to serve that use case, that need of people to say, hey, give us a tool that just does it all in one place. It's simple to use, has the familiarity if you've already used it for work. And I'm excited about bringing that offering, and seeing how users like it, and Tell us about it.
Yeah, and I think the one thing really when I work with people in my communities, so you highlighted a bunch of different types of community, whether it's service or where you are in your place where you live or whatever, uh, is that, and it's actually a question we ask in the enterprise as well. It's just normally each enterprise can dictate it, is how do I communicate? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you're trying to get together with your friends on, your monthly get together for a dinner, or you're trying to pull people together for um, build out of a set for your local play or whatever it is. Right. But it's how do I connect with these people? Do I text them? Do I, oh my goodness, do I actually call them? um, and do I send them an email? Do I use these other messaging apps? Do I use a social media DM? I mean, there's just all these ways of connecting. And, but then a lot of those things don't have the capability of sharing documents or sharing content that can be iterated on. And so having something to bring that cohesion, bring that together, in this launch, but then future improvements that you make in the product. I think you're spot on with that of the need to have a place, for that to happen. Do you see this effort, the for this product for communities and teams? Do you see this to be a small effort? Do you see it to be a big effort to get people to, realize the potential? Where do you see, some difficulties, but where do you see it easy? Where do you think this fits in and just slides in for communities?
What a great question. So I think, look, what we have here in terms of our offering, I think plays well to the strengths and the mission we've had as a company. You talked about, collaboration and documents and all. That's what we're good at Microsoft. We have tools that really let you do those things, more so, you have maybe many users have many choices for some of these things. We're not the only video calling product in the market and not the only messaging product. But I think our ability to bring it together and have those tools that really about getting stuff done. And as cliche as it sounds, you do things together with a combination of these capabilities. You get on a call, then you follow up with a dog, you are doing certain things, acing, just how all of it weaves in together for the outcome that you desire. And that's, I think, where we're good at, this product is going to be good at. Um, in terms of how big is the effort, I would say, like, size can be relative, and we are part of the entire team's organization. There's a lot of stuff that you will see in this, which is, based on the shared and the foundational infrastructure that we've had for teams. So, it's part of the same org, part of the same umbrella. And I think it is a really critical and important effort for us. And so, as we build this, we are very committed to kind of listening and learning, and iterating rapidly,
Mhm.
because there's only so much you can predetermine about what users want. But it really uh, depends on how they use the product, what are the gaps still there, where are the frictional points in the product, and we just kind of want to make sure we make it even better without adding complexity for
Mhm.
people. So it's a super critical, it's one of our top initiatives within the company. We are part of the Teams org, all the R&D that has gone on Teams that comes to bear here, as well as what we continue to do in the future. So very
Mhm.
important, pretty good team. And we were very excited actually to get this out there and just start getting some feedback.
So the same team, same global team working on Microsoft Teams, same app that we're going to be
It is the
using.
same app. It is the
Yeah.
same app. And that hasn't changed. And that's why I think of this as a less of a brand new unveiling of a new app. It's the same app. It's a new capability. And so
Hmm.
the way Teams works, right? You can log in with your work account or your school account, and you get a set of experiences. And if you use your Microsoft account, and we have our own identity system. If you use an Xbox or a Skype or a M365, all of those, that's your Microsoft account. And as you log in to Teams with that, you basically get this experience that I'm talking about. And you have the ability to kind of traverse between the two, between work and between life. And that is really the power of this, which is you don't have to relearn, reinstall, something new, but it just piggybacks on what you have and
Hmm.
is familiar.
Yeah, and something you talked about there, I think, if you have an account, and when I talk to my, aunt, or I talk to my neighbor, and it's a little the way you described it as a simplistic kind of view of, hey, if you use this or this or this, you already have an account, and that's fine, but what if they don't? So is the onboarding experience something that you're focusing on to get people not only onboarded into using communities and teams, but also getting them that, if they don't have an ID, how do they get one, and how is that experience going to be for
Yeah,
users?
yeah. Look, onboarding is, I cannot even, tell you how important it is. It's like,
Mm.
we've thrown this big party in our house, and we've decorated the house, and we've made all the arrangements. And, if the front door is something people can't get through, then, none of that matters. And that's really how we think about it. And so, look, it's very simple to create a Microsoft account if you have no other prior experience with one of our services. Now, some might say it's not as simple as it can be. Okay. And I'll be the first to admit that there's a little bit more work to be done there. But we are constantly trying to make that easier. We just kind of rolled out for people who, use their phones as the primary identifier. All they have is a phone number. You can sign up with a phone number, right? If you've ever created an account in the past and you've lost kind of access to it, you can actually do two-factor auth. We'll send you a short code on your phone. You can easily sign in. So, there's more work we're constantly doing, and we're looking at how people are experiencing, account creation. It's not just for my team, actually. It's across Microsoft. It's one of the things that we we never say we're done here. We're constantly trying to improve, and I do think we have more ground to cover, and we've come a long way. There's more to do, but absolute focus for the team. I mean, there is just no way. I start my day looking at onboarding, and the team starts looking at onboarding metrics and seeing how things are going, where the drop off happens. So we'll keep at it. There's no, as
Yeah,
I said, there's no point in having a front door that's tough to get through.
yeah, for sure. And so I have two more questions for you. One is, I'd like for you to talk a little bit about, the next things, in the coming year. Here we are at the end of 2022, but in the coming year, what are those integrations, with
Mhm.
others, that what's the story around that to help communities, and
Yeah.
how's that going to help? My last question is going to be, how do you want feedback from people? Is it in-app feedback? Is there a site they should go to? Because some of these users of this product are not going to have an enterprise. Maybe they don't even work with Microsoft in work, and so how can they give feedback? So those are my
Yeah.
two questions.
Great. Let me start with the second one first.
Okay.
In terms of feedback, whatever works for you as a user. I mean, we're going to be listening kind of everywhere, and we have a really good customer listening team, so to speak. And whether it's social channels, whether it's through the product, we get all of those aggregated. You want to send bugs through within the product. We'll have communities with some of the product team folks, and we'll publish those. You can join and provide us direct feedback. um,
Great idea. Yeah.
so like, I think it's less about how we would like to give feedback. It's really about, if you have feedback, we'll try to listen, and we'll try to capture. We'll do our best. And so
Okay.
I would say, please keep the feedback coming. The way you use it, what you think about it, and we'll be listening to you. I think, to your previous question, one of the things I'm really excited about next year is really bringing the platform capabilities that we had um, into Teams consumer as well, into Teams communities. Because, there's a limit to how many capabilities and features we can build. And I think the best way to serve everybody's needs is really letting third parties play in. And we are pretty early. We haven't launched it with this particular release, but we are working on bringing those some of the platform capabilities. Whether you are in a meeting, whether you are in a messaging conversation, there are so many um, aspects that can really come light up if you have third parties. Everything from payments to scheduling to fundraising, and so we're pretty excited about that. In the next few weeks and months, we'll have more to speak, but I can say we're working on that, and that's going to be a big focus for us.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what you said and what we were talking about earlier is the seamlessness. I don't know if that's a word, but I just said it. Of I want to be able to do things for my community in the app and not have to go, oh, I need to go to this website and create this thing and then jump back in. And some of those common things that
Yeah.
you just mentioned, some of those examples. So anything to make that smooth, right? So that I stay in the app. I want to have a conversation with my community. Well, go to communities, go to Teams app, go in the communities and have that interaction, right?
Mhm.
Don't have to go, well, I need to now go over here, copy paste every time I want to mention something. So I think that's great that you're
Yeah.
having that focus on integration so that, and I may make an assumption here and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that for developers and third parties, developing for teams, whether it's for communities or enterprise, would have crossover there. And so more bang for your buck, right?
You're
As a
totally
third
right.
party. Yeah.
You're totally right, Daniel. You kind of nailed it. I mean, you captured the value more eloquently than I would. But
Well,
it's the notion of, Rick, look, we'll have certain tools, and we want to create a kind of a playground where you can bring your own tools as well. And absolutely, it's not something that folks developers are unfamiliar with, right? Like we have a platform on the work side which has been really robust with a lot of offerings. And I think if we are able to nail it in a way that right ones run in different contexts, I think that's a win-win.
yeah, for sure. Well, I really hope that people just start, they dive in now, start using it. I think there's going to be some really great ideas because I've even thought about six or seven that are just totally different use cases for being able to do this in different types of communities, but keeping everybody on the same page and doing some organizing and doing that in a way that is just friction free, as
Yeah.
frictionless as possible, right? So I'm really excited to see how others are using it, and I can't wait for someone to say, hey, please join this community on Teams. I'm going,
Let me
um,
know when that happens.
that'll be great. Yeah,
Thanks for your time, Daniel. I
yeah,
know I
thank
know
you.
you've been very gracious with your time and support. So really enjoyed chatting
Yeah,
with you.
thank you so much. I appreciate your time as well.
Thank you.